Hi, I'm Mike of Patton and Patton, and today initially I wanted to do a video showing you all our office and talking a little bit of what we're about, but I got stuck. And I got stuck because here we're about justice. We strive to use our legal talents and abilities to help injured people seek justice. We take that responsibility seriously. We take justice seriously. We believe in the American judicial system and its function to give access to justice to all Americans. One of our reminders of our commitment to justice is the first thing we look at when we walk in our office. It's a painting of St. George and the Dragon. St. George and the Dragon is a story about justice. The dragon was oppressing the people and requiring ever increasing sacrifices of them, eventually requiring human sacrifice. St. George comes upon the scene and sees the injustice and immediately vows to help. He charges the dragon, and St. George impales him with his lance. In some versions of the story, St. George then tames the dragon. We're committed to using our talents and ability to seek justice like St. George. However, dragons and justice are more complicated now than they were in 3rd century legends. But you can't have a discussion of justice today without talking about some pretty serious and touchy issues of justice. For us, our standard of justice comes from the Bible. We are committed to seeking justice, loving mercy, walking humbly with God, from Micah 6:8. To us, the call of seeking justice is tied to the gospel. Jesus calls the underserved, the weak, the underprivileged, the outcasts and the castaways and cutouts in society. Jesus calls them in and he invites them into his kingdom. The gospel of Jesus is the story of a hero who comes down to earth and sacrifices himself to defeat sin and death and injustice so that we can be forgiven and come into relationship with God. Once we have that relationship and that forgiveness and right standing with God, our heart begins to change. God's kingdom begins inside of that forgiven heart. We don't have to hold on to anger, fear, doubt, or shame. But that salvation isn't meant to stop inside our own heart. People of God are then called to participate in God's work of bringing the kingdom to bear in this world through acts of justice, peace, and mercy. It's a calling into participation with God in his redemptive work in the world. We then turn around, justified before God, and spread God's message of love and forgiveness and mercy and justice to the underserved. There are those in our society who are hurting. They're scared. They're crying out for justice and for mercy. They're angry. They feel hopeless. But my God is a God of hope. What gives hope is that there is a God who moves in times like these, a God who has a special care and concern for those who are oppressed, a God who knew the world would see times like these and who loves the widows and orphans and the oppressed. As a Christian, I need to add my voice and say what has been happening to the black community is not justice. It's certainly not mercy. If we value justice, if we value mercy and peace, this needs to be acknowledged. Their deaths are an assault on all human dignity. Their lives do matter. We Christians are supposed to be like Jesus. We're supposed to offer hope to those who need it most, not through violence, but through peace. For me, I want to stand for justice for those who have been innocent and killed. to stand for those who have been oppressed, for people who don't have hope. We can use our voices and our talents to lend support to the downtrodden. That's where the gospel and the teaching of Jesus lead us. So that's my soapbox for today, I suppose. If this doesn't make sense to you, or you have a different view than me, feel free to send me a message. I'd love to have a conversation. But for me, it starts with the gospel. And as Jesus' message of hope infects our hearts, we can start to have peace in our own lives and the broader community around us. Thanks for watching.